no show at work for the previous 2 days arrived at work. He pulled into the parking garage, and as a result of once he pulled into the parking garage and used his proxy card and entered the garage, that triggered security due to the fact that he had not been at work. That employee drove up to the 5th floor of the parking garage and parked his vehicle. As a result of him entering the property, security went to check on his welfare. The security officer walked up to the vehicle, and as soon as he approached the vehicle, was met by gunfire at the car door. The security officer was pronounced deceased at the scene. The suspect then walked away from the vehicle and then shot himself with one self-inflicted gunshot, where he was then pronounced deceased at the scene. I want to stress that this is in a secure parking structure. There were no other people around, and it was a very remote part of the parking garage. The employees involved, all notifications have been made to all of their families. So at this point, there's the notifications to the people involved have been made. With that, I will take a couple questions, but again, it's very early on in the investigation.
So was there any motive? Did the suspect have any run-ins with the security guard or at work?
No, we don't believe there's any link between the security officer and the shooter. The security officer was sent to check due to the fact that the employee arrived at the property after not being at work for 2 days. And due to the security procedures here, that's what prompted them to, once he arrived on property, to check on him.
Any information about the security guard? How long he worked for Wynn, age, race?
The security officer who is deceased is a Hispanic male in his early 30s. Anything else would have to go through the Wynn as far as releasing that information.
How about the suspect?
The suspect is a Hispanic male, and he is in his early 40s.
Any reason to believe he might have been disgruntled?
Again, we have no idea as far as what led him to take the actions that he took today. Again, he was for 2 days was previously a no call, no show at work, and that's what prompted security to check on him when he arrived on property.
Was he still in his car when he fired, or had he exited his car?
It happened right at the door of his car. He was sitting in his car when the officer checked on his welfare and was met by gunfire.
Were there any witnesses or anyone that was maybe caught in that crossfire?
There were no other employees that were in the vicinity. There was an employee along with the security officer who had went up there, but she was not in the immediate vicinity of when the gunfire took place.
What was his occupation, the suspect?
Again, he's an employee at the hotel. I'm not going to get into the specifics of his occupation here.
When you hear that gunshots have been fired in a casino, especially after what we witnessed on 1 October, how did Metro respond to this? How quickly were you here? How many resources went into responding and figuring out what was going on?
Well, I want to make sure this is an isolated incident of workplace violence. There's no link whatsoever to 1 October. You're dealing with a hotel that has a very robust security procedures as far as, when you're dealing with private sector, you're not going to get a better trained and more technology and utilizing technology than the hotels on the Las Vegas Strip. And this property has an exceptional security response, and they handled this extremely well with their own internal response. As far as Metro, anything that happens, we're going to bring as many resources that we need to bring to make sure that the citizens and the tourists in this valley are safe. And that's you're going to see a heavy police presence anytime you have an incident of violence anywhere on the Las Vegas Strip.
And where was the victim shot?
I'm not going to get into the specific locations of where the victim was shot. All right.
Any reason to believe that this guy had a security guard not come out and headed inside of the casino?
Again, I don't know. We're still trying to figure out what led up to the shooting and why he was, he arrived on property. Obviously, he was armed with a handgun when he arrived. He stayed in his car. What is commendable is the fact that the Wynn did an exceptional job when you think about how they instantly recognized that he was on their property. They instantly sent someone to check on why he had returned to the property, and that's what happened. So as far as the hotel, their response was absolutely exceptional to him coming on property being armed. The victim is a Hispanic male in his early 30s. The suspect is a Hispanic male in his early 40s. He was shot multiple times. All right, thank you guys.